Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at something on Twitter that kind of just exposes us, as men. Like, we really just don't need to be crying and showing emotion because it's such a big turnoff, man. So, obviously, throughout the vast majority of pretty much human history at this point, men crying and showing emotion and things like that was heavily looked down upon, if not outright just completely not allowed in society. During, most historical time periods, right, if men cried or showed emotion, they were kind of viewed as like inferior or as less of a man or as like mentally weak and fragile, which in certain historical time points, it kind of makes sense that people thought that way. I mean, if you're a Spartan in the middle of war, obviously you crying isn't really probably the most beneficial thing, but we don't really live in that time period anymore, right? We live in a much more calm and stable time period overall, where emotions are much more understood than they were in the past. So it's kind of funny that recently in society, it's been kind of, I guess, more encouraged for men to cry and to show emotions and things like that because society's finally starting to realize that everyone is born with emotions and, feelings and things like that, and that it's kind of stupid that one whole group of people is just societally expected to not show their emotions. It's pretty insane to actually think that, I feel like, but today we're going to be taking a look on Twitter at someone who has the opposite mindset, and we're going to learn why men showing emotion is just unattractive, man, because I know you care, right? That's my first point, really, in this whole thing here is, I don't know why people on Twitter think that everyone fucking cares. I'm not sure where that idea has come from. Like, this woman, she went on for like 70 tweets, right, about how all these different things, all these different thoughts about this, different tweets that she thinks helps explain her point. And I'm just here to let everyone know, we don't give a fuck, right? Like, no one cares what you find attractive. You're not someone's girlfriend, right? You're not my fucking wife. You're not my girlfriend. I don't give a fuck what you find attractive. I'm not really worried about it. Believe it or not, I'm not getting on Twitter to, figure out what I'm allowed to do that it deems me attractive to some woman across the fucking planet. It doesn't make sense. No one really cares, but of course, we saw it anyway. And this got completely destroyed, thankfully, but I wanted to make a video just really kind of hammering the point home. So, while I don't want men to completely avoid it, seeing a man cry does turn me off. I'm seeing the pendulum swing from men shouldn't cry to a man crying has zero effect on his attractiveness, and neither of these are true. There are times when it is warranted for a man to cry in front of a female potential partner. I can't say when and why because this is highly contextual. Example of when it would turn me off. During early days, unless something traumatic happened like we were on the Titanic, literally fucking delusional. Examples of when I suspect it would have little to no effect or bring us closer. Funerals, injuries, loss, financial, etc. Periods of high stress, other specific times. Alright, so there's plenty to break down here. First off, you apparently would be turned off if a man cried when you were on the Titanic with him. So, obviously, like 80% of the people on the Titanic just straight up fucking died, right? Like, it was the end. They fucking sunk with the ship into the freezing water, froze to death, or died from some other form of injury, killed themselves, whatever it may be. But apparently, if something traumatic like that happened, it's a turnoff, because it would fucking matter, right? If you were turned off emotionally that a man was crying while you're all about to fucking die in the waters of the Atlantic Ocean, but apparently it would have no effect if he cried when he was injured. So, if he, I don't know, hammered his fucking finger comedically like a cartoon with, like, on his thumb, that would be cool, bro. Cry all you want at that point. Or, if you lose $100 at the mall out of your wallet, cry, bro. But if you're literally about to fucking die freezing to death in the waters on the Titanic, you better not cry, because this bitch might not give you no pussy, bro. If you're in the mall and someone comes in and starts fucking killing everybody, you better not start crying and praying to God, bro, because as a man, you're expected to fucking stand up and fucking give your life and have no qualm over that. Which, by the way, I think is a completely mentally psychotic mentality, and I'm actually stunned that that was ever actually a thing in society. But so the whole situation doesn't make sense. First and foremost, no one gives a fuck what she finds attractive, right? I'm gonna assume she doesn't have a boyfriend because people who are in relationships don't talk like this. And second off, she's a fucking random on Twitter, right? Like, I don't know why she thinks that what she deems attractive is important to literally anybody but her. The only reason it's important to me at this point is because I'm getting a free piece of content out of it. So there is no times where it's warranted and unwarranted for a man to cry. If it's acceptable for someone to show emotion during that time period, it's acceptable for a man to do it. If a woman's allowed to cry, a man's allowed to cry. It's that fucking simple. And I'm sorry if the audio sounds a little wanky and I sound like a fucking moron when I talk. I still have COVID symptoms. I've been coughing my fucking brains out and fucking gagging and everything for the last 3 weeks. So my voice at this point is like on the verge of collapse. But To be clear, I'm speculating, and these are specific to me, not instructions or rules for when it's okay for men to cry, okay? I imagine this highly variable depending on the person and relationship, but I am skeptical of any woman who says it doesn't affect attractiveness. Is this just social conditioning, something to be deconstructed, something I need to get comfy with and eventually it will go away? I don't think so. I think that there are deep and valid evolutionary reasons for this. Women are biologically wired to cry more than men. I should be able to trust a male partner's level-headedness in joint decisions when I'm beside myself with grief, pregnant, in labor, sleep deprived, sick, etc. This is very attractive in a male partner. I don't know what to tell you about this. It sounds like you just want a man to take care of you. That's what it really fucking sounds like. Bro's not allowed to cry and be fucking upset, during the fucking Titanic when he's about to literally face impending death, but he's expected to suddenly be level-headed and comfortable when you're in grief or pregnancy or in labor. Apparently, if a man's about to have a child, he can't be emotional about that, bro. Like, if you're about to have a fucking child, you can't cry in the waiting room or right there at the table. I think that's stupid. And it always comes back to, you can never expect this same sort of mentality out of women, right? Like, this woman will duck accountability like the fucking plague, right? If you tell her, like, yeah, I really value a woman's level-headedness. I like it when women aren't overly emotional or fucking crying about everything or being upset. All of a sudden, you're a misogynistic piece of shit, right? You're a fucking virgin incel on the internet. But, when a woman has the same fucking take, the same dog shit opinion, it's completely acceptable, Well, we're biologically wired to be this way, man, so it's okay. It's fucking stupid, and I just don't understand why society will clown men for having dog shit takes like this, but when women do it, people don't call them femcells or get upset and fucking say stupid shit like that, right? Maybe you could be more level-headed, right? It never comes down to that argument. How can I be better as a person? It's about, well, this person's not being attractive because they have emotions. Conversely, if a male partner cries in a situation where I think I wouldn't cry, I sense that he is not dependable in a crisis and I will be in charge of making decisions for both of us. Since I have higher estrogen levels, this asks me to exert a tremendous amount of restraint. It basically tells me that he's going to hoard the emotional space that I need in order to be embodied. Yes, this is a turnoff. I'm trying to be careful with my wording, but I suspect some people will think I'm just stuck in harmful trad values, perpetuating toxic masculinity, etc. So let me say it loud and clear. Men should cry. Many men should cry more and more often. There are many instances where I would expect and appreciate a display of man's grief in the form of tears and even sobbing from a man. Except if you're fucking dying in the Titanic, or unless you're in fucking 9/11, you're in the plane about to hit the tower, don't cry then, bro. But if you lost a fucking wallet at the mall, once again, bro, you're free to cry. Go ahead. If she deems it acceptable, that's when you cry. If it's when she would cry, that's when it's cool. Fuck the fact that you have your own emotional needs and your own, emotional intellect and everything. She gets to decide when you cry, or else it's just not attractive. I love how she says, just because she has estrogen, that's, the emotional space that she needs. As if men don't have any emotional need, right? All emotional fucking display from men is just purely for performance. A man doesn't need to just cry every once in a while and be fucking a little bit upset because, we don't have high enough estrogen levels for that, right? Honestly, you're talking about being dependable in a crisis. I would imagine off of your mental fucking state that you're not dependable for anything. It doesn't matter about the crisis. First and foremost, you don't understand anything about emotion, okay? And you have these stupid fucking takes that really do perpetuate toxic masculinity, even though you want to try and act like you're not. If you can't understand that men have basic emotional needs, you're the last person that I would want to trust in any sort of emotional situation. You're the one who lacks the emotional intelligence, not a guy crying because he's about to fucking face some sort of mental catastrophe, right? It's funny that she honestly thinks that people actually are gonna take this fucking, I guess, opinion that she has and just run with it, right? Like men were gonna agree, women were gonna agree. And this kind of leads me to this point, right? It's always about how men can do something better until men do something better. The women who say shit like this, and of course, this isn't all women. There are plenty of women out there who are emotionally intelligent. They understand that men have feelings. They understand that society pressures men to act certain ways. They do their best to not feed into this kind of idiotic shit. But then there are women like this, right, who, they talk about, I need a man who's not that emotional, right, who's level-headed in times of crisis. But yet the first thing they do, they fucking drop their fucking iPad on the carpet, right, and they just break into tears. they find something to complain about, essentially, right? You know, when men start saying, yeah, I think we should be allowed to feel our emotions publicly, we should be allowed to actually address our feelings, then it's always something else after that, man. Because now that they have men actually doing what they want in this situation, and there's plenty of men who will cry and be upset and shit like that, now all of a sudden, they gotta find something else to be fucking complaining about, because, you know, they're just never happy with the fact that they have men that can do what they want. They gotta fucking complain. It's essentially the exact same as, like, guys who walk around like, all women are fucking idiots, bro. This is why I just don't ever want to fucking have it come down to this, man. I can't stand it, bro. Like, those guys who get called fucking incels, this is essentially the flip side of it, right? Where a fucking woman gets what she wants, right? Like, they're actually making strides to break down that toxic masculinity that they complain about so much. But then when they realize that they're getting what they want, all of a sudden they gotta bring it back, because, you know, that toxic masculinity, it's beneficial in some situations. When you're not the one who has to deal with your family's financial crisis, all of a sudden that toxic masculinity is fucking awesome. When you're not the one who has to work all the fucking construction jobs, or all the dangerous jobs, or the fucking serve most of the military roles, be expected to be drafted off to war at any given fucking time, serve the majority of law enforcement and firefighter roles and farming roles and shit like that. You know, when you have men to do that shit, all of a sudden toxic masculinity is great. Fuck men's emotions. Fuck how men care about things then, right? But when it's beneficial to cry and complain about it and say it's not attractive for what you thought was going to be some Twitter clout, and I'll assume probably 100 or 150 men in the comments going, oh, well, I don't cry, you know, being pick-me's basically, that's when you thought it was cool to say some shit like this. It's just stupid, you know, like, the whole take really is based on the idea that men's emotional feelings and emotional validation is based on attractiveness, which it's not. Like, your emotions should not be, like, a determining factor for whether or not you find someone attractive, right? At least in most situations. I can understand how it would be hard to deal with somebody who fucking cries when they drop a water bottle cap. But when you act as if, like, men can't cry during periods of, like, genuine strife and agony because it's not attractive enough, I'm just here to let you know, genuinely no one gives a fuck. Like, the only men who are actually gonna care and agree with you are literally pick-me's. And the only women who are gonna agree with you on shit like this are other women who probably aren't in relationships, who probably don't know what the fuck they're talking about, who simply just want to use this ideology to benefit themselves. It's a dumb take. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubTheOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below, and until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, I guess just not allowed to cry. Fellas, don't cry. And signing out.